All right. So here.
That was a really sick beat that you just dropped, Craig. Oh my goodness.
It was totally, I wanted to get that industrial punk steam vibe going. So that sound of kind of like Transformer. I transform.
I've been hearing a lot about Transformers from you the past couple of days.
It's very true. One of my new projects is to develop an MPreg Transformer fanfic with Optimus Prime and Megatron having a baby.
Oh my
And then we're going
goodness.
to do a live reading of it. So I want to recruit some of your actor friends. Does any of them have an Optimus Prime kind of base?
An Optimus Prime kind of base. Oh my goodness.
He has that wonderful...
Oh, I could probably find... Yeah, I've got someone in mind. I think he'd probably turn his nose up at it, but I can ask him. Have you heard the story of how Peter Cullen got the gig of playing Optimus Prime? Have I told them?
No.
Ah, this is brilliant. So, back in the mid-1980s, I think he was going through a bit of a rough time, and he was living with his brother. And his brother was a Vietnam vet. And so every time he goes to an audition, his brother would say to him, "Oh, where are you going today, Pete? Oh, I've got this audition. Oh, who are you playing? Oh, I'm playing this character." And when he gets the gig to go audition for Optimus Prime, his brother says, "Oh, who are you going to, what are you going to audition as?" He goes, "Oh, I'm playing a truck." And apparently the truck is the leader of all the other toys. And so his brother just becomes very serious, and he becomes, don't shout and be noisy and make all that noise, and don't try to be like a Hollywood badass. That's complete BS. Real leaders, they're strong enough to be gentle. And so
so he brought that into the character, did he?
yeah, so he based Optimus Prime on his brother. And basically played him as like this guy who's seen some really awful stuff, and he's been through all these wars. And he's the strongest Autobot, but he's still, despite all this, is still trying to be gentle and nurturing, and that's how he plays him.
So who are we? Sorry, I should do the show intro as well.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Oh, it's worth. That's a kind of segue, really, into. I'll transform once more.
Oh my gosh!
Well, the mic needed to be in a better spot. This is Media Mothership, so it's a show that talks about everything in and around the world of media pop culture. I am Dr. Craig Norris, joined by, I think we got you up to Master Marcus Johnson, right? Master of Education?
Yes,
So
I'm
Master?
not doing any further education beyond that. I'm sorry.
Well, you're now literally doing the education part of it.
I am. I'm a teacher. It's what I do.
Yeah. And Mr. B.A. Not Baracus, B.A. Zeke, or Zeke B.A.
That's right. Yeah, I'm happy to be
Media
back
school
on the show.
BA,
yeah,
right?
bachelor's degree. I don't know whether I'll go any further than that, but probably not. But I'm happy to be here. I wanted to be here the past couple of weeks, but unfortunately, COVID struck.
Yeah.
So, but I'm back in full health and ready to discuss some media on the mothership.
Well, that's right. So we're all very well qualified institutionally by university to discuss what I think are some great news pieces that have come out. I want to start with video games. Then I've also got some Vox Pops that recorded from Taspop South 2-3 weeks ago that I want to also finally give the breath of life to allow people to hear. The first piece of news, and I know, Marcus, you haven't, this is all going to be possibly new news to you. This was a fun piece coming from Kotaku, Gaming Reviews, News, Tips, and More website. Their headline is, OMG, someone actually conquered Halo 2's impossible $20,000 challenge. Did you know there was a $20,000 Halo 2 challenge?
I knew there was an impossible challenge, but I didn't know it was worth $20,000.
Well, the background is that, so this, last night, or when did this story come out? Last night, just came out yesterday. So 2 nights ago, this streamer called Jervalin beat Halo 2's Lasso, L-A-S-O, Deathless challenge, earning a cool $20,000 in the process. So the $20,000 was all set up by a YouTuber called Charles Critical White Jr., who posted at first a $5,000 bounty to beat the Halo 2 highest difficulty setting, with every bonus challenge modifier turned on and without dying. So in the 18 years since Halo 2's 2004 release on Xbox, no one had ever published evidence of completing that challenge. So that challenge, again, is to beat Halo 2 on the highest difficulty setting with every bonus challenge modifier turned on and not to die. Do you reckon that's... Have you played Halo 2 or any of the Halo series?
Yeah, I've played every Halo except the most recent one, except for Halo Infinite, and I cannot imagine being able to complete that challenge successfully because the Halo games have a very different mechanic to a lot of other first-person shooters. Most first-person shooters are balanced in that you can really only be attacked by people who are in your sort of field of vision. They'll balance it out so that if anyone's shooting you from behind, you get a warning. Halo is not like that. Halo, you will get shot in the back and die constantly.
Well, Halo was Xbox kind of what do they refer to it as? Their kind of evergreen property, the one that was the console winner for them. I don't know if they won the console wars. PlayStation's always been very strong, but Halo was one of those exclusive Xbox titles which really secured a lot of gamer interest. Would that be right?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah. That was the big console shooter after GoldenEye.
Yeah. Zeke, do you have any background in the Halo verse?
I'm pretty sure I probably played Halo. I would have played it as a kid. Wouldn't remember much of it.
Master Chef,
Master Chef, brilliant.
It's a little known mod that I made for Halo.
The cooking Halo
where,
version.
Yeah. You're
just going around shooting ketchup and mustard at everybody.
That's right, yeah. Of course, it is Master Chief for those playing at home in Mothership Mothership Bingo. Slips of the tongue. So that was one for those at home.
Yeah, but I haven't. I think I would have played it as a kid. In fact, did it come out Xbox, like the first Xbox?
Well, Halo 2 came out in 2004, so I'm assuming Halo was probably an original huge black box Xbox title.
Yeah, something's turned off in the studio.
I think it's the this thing.
Oh, okay, right. So we're still streaming and broadcasting?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for all those at home. The static in my earpiece stopped playing, and I was thinking something is not
now
right.
it's back on again, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yep, because that monitor, and this is part of, I think, media education for people listening at home. That we're going to talk about, like a director's commentary track, things which are occurring in the studio. Some supernatural possible.
Could be the ghost. Just don't speak the name of the Scottish play and it'll be all good.
So Halo would have launched on the original Xbox.
And Halo was really, really revolutionary because it was the first one that sort of brought in two things that most other shooters have aped to death. It brought in regenerating health and the 2-gun limit. So before that, you carried as many weapons as you could hold, and you could have if you lost health, it was easy to just replenish it or grab armor. Halo, you have your armor and your health just replenishes when you get away from the combat for a little bit, and you can only carry 2 guns at a time.
So tough, yeah. So returning, I guess, to the story. So this challenge was complete Halo 2 on hardest difficulty and with all the bonus challenges on, and you can't die. So the guy set up at first a $5,000 challenge, and the challenge stipulated that the whole run has to be streamed, right? So you have to do the whole game streamed, and YouTube or Twitch. Now, when he first launched that challenge, by the July of that year, no one had yet successfully stepped up to the plate. So last month, streamer Hero. The streamer Charles that was setting up the prize then put on an extra $15,000, $15,000 on top of the $5,000 that was already there. All right, because no one had stepped up in a few months after he posted this challenge. So a lot of people were looking at who was going to accept this challenge, and this guy Jervelin managed to complete it. So you can now have a look at his stream. What's really nice about it, or kind of heartwarming about it, is when he does finally get over the final challenge and complete, his family runs in, gives him a big hug.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah. And it's interesting. The article goes on to talk about. Let me see if I can find it. Where he had to use a couple of exploits within the game, right? For instance, in the final battle, he was using a particular weapon where he could shoot the monsters as they were spawning in, and he shot them off the kind of arena disc. So rather than them actually spawn in and then approach you and fight you, he was doing a couple of what's considered exploits in the game to be able to challenge that. But yeah, it was really good. So yeah, as they say here, heartwarming moment. Yeah. Damn.
If it's part of the game, it's part of the game. Like that's the way it runs. You can't be pinged for exploiting the bugs.
So talking of playing the game and how far people will go to play the game, the next story, which I absolutely loved finding out about, again, this is from cracked.com, is talking about Diablo Immortal. Anyone know anything about Diablo Immortal?
Is that going to be the 4th game?
I don't know what number this is.
The mobile game?
Yeah, this is the mobile game,
yeah,
though.
So it's a spin-off mobile game, I think.
Yeah, it so far has a Metacritic rating of 0.7 out of 10.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good for a mobile game.
And it's been receiving a lot of flack because people have been criticizing this mobile game as basically being pay to win. Right? That it has a really horrible loot dynamic within it as well in terms of the cost required on the gamer to get the loot boxes and then to unlock stages. It's meant to be one of the most eye-wateringly problematic gambling mechanics that people have seen in a game. Anyway, so this title is Diablo Immortal player spends $100,000 and becomes too powerful to find matches.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So in this game system, I've not played it, but there's a matchmaker within it, and this one gamer had invested $100,000 to basically unlock all of the weapons, all of the loot. The gamer's name, who is in this article, is JTISAL Business. Jitsal Business.
Jitsal Business. I'm gonna Google that right now. Jitsal Business.
JTISAL. So he's complaining about having been locked out of playing against other players because the obscene amount of money he spent early in the game has made him basically able to win every single match he plays, and thus rendered the matchmaking rating too high to even get matched with anyone else.
Oh, man. That's insane.
So Blizzard, the article goes on to say, Blizzard hasn't formally responded to Jitsal Business's sympathetic pleas to say, hey, I've bought everything in your game for $100,000 and now the matchmaker service can no longer provide me a player to play against because I'm so OP.
Yeah, that seems kind of bad design to me of a game where, like, if somebody because you can buy, right? That's a way you can play it. And he buys everything and now he can't play the game because it's just not designed, I guess, in a way where he would be able to be matched with.
Yeah, I guess they never really factored in being able to do it. Well, look, let's go to a Vox Pop now and return with some new interesting discussions.
My name is Lee. Originally grew up in New York City, but I'm also a veteran of the U.S. Navy.
Oh, wow, right. So that would be quite a bit of travel in the U.S. Navy. And I like the steampunk vibe. Is there a steampunk U.S. Navy?
Yes, it was supposed to be like a steampunk Victorian vibe for me, yes.
That's perfect. I'm thinking, Dr. Frankenstein, Jules Verne.
I'll just go for more classical. That's about it. My wife's here, but she's doing Lolita. I guess she's there. That's her in the white outfit there.
I'll have to grab her later.
She's actually been on staff here before and stuff, too.
Right, Lolita, yeah. So that's
Lolita's a Japanese fashion. It's not cosplay.
Oh, yeah. So you guys are really going into the kind of Victorian Gothic.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, Lolita does different themes, though. That's why it's more of a fashion than actually doing Victorian Gothic like I am and stuff.
So, given this is Taspop, I really want to know what's the first pop culture on the top of your head right now.
It's kind of mixed. There's anime, Star Wars. There's some furry stuff there, things like that. It's a big mix there. I'm just happy to see it all come together. I mean, I've been to a few cons in the U.S. too. A lot bigger ones than this one, but they're all great.
And one of the things I've been curious about with your international perspective is trying to locate what might be a Tasmanian pop culture. Has there been any uniquely Tassie pop culture you've ever encountered?
Not that I'm fully aware of. But I tend to intend these things more for the fun than anything else. There, I mean, heck, I'm almost 50 years old. I'm just gonna have fun with it. That's it.
Have there been any big surprises? Anything that surprised you today so far?
Pretty good turnout mainly because of the whole COVID thing and all that stuff.
Well, look, thanks so much for joining us here on Edge Radio to talk a bit about how the convention's going. Any final words?
Just go have fun, be yourself at the convention as far as that goes. Other than that, match it out. That kind of feeling I think we need in general in the world anyway. Oh wait, more people need to have fun instead of stressing out over stupid. I don't know how to say it in a friendly way for the radio.
Perfect. Look, thanks so much for being part of this. Have a great day.
Hey, all right, so you're back here on Media Mothership on Edge Radio 99.3. I'm Dr. Craig Norris, joined by Master Marcus and BA Zeke.
That's me.
Basic?
Yeah,
Is
basic. I'm basic.
Well, I guess in terms of the hierarchy, it is the
base level.
level.
That's true.
Not that there's a hierarchy there.
No,
Yeah,
of course
no,
not.
no,
Of course
no,
not.
of course,
Says the
of course.
doctor.
Yeah.
That's right, benefits me. All right, so the other weird bit of news that came across my desk recently was a bit on Chinese TikTok phenomena. And you guys might not ever have come across this piece of news. To break it down, basically what some TikTok viewers have noticed recently is cases of, in this case, this article is talking about what they call in the article as an eccentric Asian man. So it's a guy with long hair, black clothes, and sunglasses who's leading large groups of dancers at night in public squares to classic music from the 1970s like Ma Baker and Boney M. So, this article goes on from the ABC to talk about how there's this, weird line dancing going on in China that's being TikToked, and a lot of Westerners are kind of scratching their head thinking, what is this that I'm watching? Also, some of the TikTok performances, everyone's got headphones on, and there's no music that's playing, so if you're watching this, I guess, a la natural, in its actual physical space, you would just see people dancing, but no music that you'd hear, which would be unusual. Anyway, so it goes into a little bit about who this guy is. He's called Brother Xian, and he's the Moonlighting Tea-Man. More interesting, though, so basically he's been doing these kind of live line dancing performances that are heavily choreographed with a group of others. But more interesting, as I was reading more and more about this article, was that it turns out that, according to this article, line dancing in China, particularly in public squares and parks, is huge, particularly amongst older women, middle-aged women, who will practice these choreographed routines. They'll bring out their boom boxes and they'll do these incredibly choreographed line dances to varieties of music. And what's fascinating it is, like, this article just keeps getting better and better. And I think, wow, that's a weird Chinese line dancer guy. Wow, old Chinese women doing line dancing a lot in public in China. Wow, that's weird. Then it gets better. It turns out that the article goes on talking about how kids have been competing with these line dancers to secure access to these public spaces, because some of these venues are like basketball courts, and kids just want to play basketball, but they can't because all these middle-aged women are doing line dancing there. And so there's this technology, the subheading goes, Kids Source Tool to shut these dancers down, which is this wonderful inverse kind of like, normally it's older people complaining about younger people disrupting public spaces, but here it's younger kids complaining about older people disrupting a public space. So what they've got are these kind of Bluetooth devices. It looks like a torch, and you can click it, and basically it accesses the boom boxes that these line dancers are users, and it accesses it through the Bluetooth technology to turn it off. And they don't know where it is being turned off from, so there are all these clips of kind of these escalating arguments between the basketball kids wanting to play on it and the middle-aged women wanting to do line dancing, and it just keeps escalating and escalating around this tension. The article goes on to talk about how many of the kind of dense living conditions in some cities in China have meant that there's kind of a lot of competition to using these public spaces, parks and basketball courts and so forth, And so these line dancers are competing directly with those groups. Now, allegedly, there is a local link to this, local angle to this story, which is that square dancing is migrating to Australia, allegedly. So this article concludes by saying that as square dancing becomes more popular, the Chinese diaspora have sought to bring the phenomenon to other countries, including Australia. Back in 2015, the article claims a Chinese art association organized a square dancing event at Melbourne's Federation Square, grabbing the attention of many passers-by who either watched or joined in. There are also regular square dancing events throughout various Australian communities across the country that are becoming increasingly popular with baby boomers. So again, that kind of middle-aged, late middle-aged. Can we get that in Tassie? You've ever seen kind of live... I mean, I've seen flash mobs. And first when I was reading this, I was thinking maybe this is a flash mob discussion where people randomly, well, not randomly, they've organized to do like a pillow fight in a public space, like in front of Parliament House or something. And they'll organize and they'll just randomly turn up and do it. And people walking by that aren't in on it kind of go, wow, the magic of life. Yeah. Yes. Have you seen, I mean, A, have you ever seen a flash mob? B, have you ever seen line dancing?
I've seen flash mobs at conventions and festivals. Basically, I remember a manifest about 12 years ago. A whole bunch of cosplayers rocked up to the Hari Hari Yukai from Hari Suzumiya and then left.
Okay, you've dropped a lot of dense language into that sentence. So Manifest is the Melbourne Anime Festival.
May God rest its soul.
Which is now sadly departed.
Yes.
And at one of these festivals, a group of cosplayers
Yes.
turned up to a
They just met up outside.
like the event,
Yeah, at the convention they were just in the outside space.
and they were all dressed as the same character.
No, they were all dressed as different characters. It was just whoever they were cosplaying as that day.
And so they all got together. They kind of congregated as a big mass of cosplayers suddenly.
Yes.
In front of, like, was there an event going on apart from Manifest, or was it a Manifest?
It was at Manifest. Manifest was the event that was going on.
Yeah. Was there an anime screening?
No. Well, there probably wasn't one of the... I mean, there's a lot of stuff that went on at Manifest. There was probably an anime screening in one of the buildings, but...
What was the anime you mentioned there? There was an anime title in that sentence.
So there's an anime called The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, which aired about 15, 16 years ago, and they do a dance in the end credits called the Hari Hari Yukai.
And that's the dance they did.
Yes, that's the dance
now
they
I
did.
get it. So because that's one of the phenomena I've noticed... It goes back a while. Like, a lot of end credit sequences to anime now involve elaborate choreographed line dancing.
Yes.
Do you know anything about the history of that?
Oh, that's
like, is it Dance Dance Revolution or boys bands or something that you do at conventions now?
Honestly, I mean, flash mobs seem to be a bit of a 2010s thing. Like, you don't see them very much anymore. And the whole thing of people doing dances from ending credits, that's always been a thing. But not all credit.
Like, credits didn't usually have dance choreographed scenes, right? And it seems like those end credits in anime are now deliberately there so that people can learn those routines and do it where? Like at a nightclub or at a convention or at high school.
Just anywhere where there is a stage for people to watch them.
Because it's more than doing a floss, right? The floss.
Yes, they're more complex than Fortnite dances because they're full on choreographed routines to like a 3-minute 50 song.
And this is what strikes me as the Chinese line dancing is that kind of level of choreograph. But that is indexed towards your youth population, whereas this is indexed to your baby boomer. Normally they're in closed doors, right? Normally you go to ballroom association or you learn the tango and you're kept behind doors. But what's fascinating to me is that this is all public space that this gets performed in, a park. So you've never seen a public performance of a line dance outside of an enclosed venue?
Not really, no. I don't go around looking for them, sorry.
We should do it. We're going to do it. All right, so Media Mothership, what project is this? Maybe we're up to 10 now, Project 10.
Yeah.
Project 10 is to initiate a line dancing. We'll hook up with the Chinese Association of Tasmania and see if we can get the Chinese diaspora.
Get out there.
if we can, which would you recommend? What would be the best anime line dance for us to learn to perform?
Oh my gosh.
Top three.
Top three.
Three weird ones.
I mean, the Hara Yuko would certainly be up there. Maybe a Macross dance.
Macross, yeah. We get some Robotech guys.
Don't say the R word. Don't say the R word too loudly, or 101 angry fanboys will arrive to say it's Macross.
That's true.
Probably those two, and something from Love Live. Probably I would need to ask, but there's a lot of Love Live line dancing that we could pilfer.
Very useful. Well, we're getting some good comments on our Twitch stream from Begin End.
Hi, Dad. Your video is frozen. Reset it. Scott Morrison. Okay, it works. Poggers. Memory's broken. The truth goes unspoken. I've even forgotten my name. Beginner End is your son.
Yeah, well, he's my tech support.
Yeah.
As well. You kind of deflated the mystery there of us having an audience there, Marcus.
Sorry for the spoilers, everyone. Sorry to burst your bubble.
Look, I think it's going to add to the fan fiction, I think, which will be set in this show of us.
I mean, the twist could be that it's not actually your son. The twist could be that it's your daughter who's saying all this stuff. That could be the real twist.
Hijack your son's account. Yeah.
All right, so next bit of... no, let's go to another Vox Pop. Who wants to hear another Vox Pop?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Great. So I do have... let me queue up... Oh, Jedis. So I spoke to a group of Jedis at Taspop South 2022. There were 3 of them. Marcus, do you know anything about the Jedis that were attending Taspop South?
Yeah, I believe they're from the Tasmanian Lightsaber Alliance.
And you can actually learn how to do lightsaber work using their props.
Yes.
Yep, so you can join in if you're interested. Anyway, we do talk about that. Do you know what they did during the Taspop South? They did like a demonstration, didn't they?
They did a demonstration.
Yeah, and they're pretty common. Do you see them? Like, I know you've done a lot of festivals. Do you see Jedi organizations in most of them?
They're very much like a lot in Tasmania and Canberra. Not so much in Sydney, Melbourne, and Adelaide.
Wow. Do you think that's something about Canberra and Tassie that we have more of a Jedi kind of in hiding, like Dagobah, like Tassie, Dagobah, and I mean, who goes to Canberra? I don't know.
It's the cold weather.
God, it is. Yeah. Again. Oh, well, that's interesting because none of we've got Tatooine, which is a hot planet, and Dagobah, which is a swamp planet. So maybe we are the third Jedi escape location, the cold planet.
We're Hoth.
Yeah. All right, well, let's listen to the Jedi.
All right, so I'm here at Taspop South with a group of Jedi. Tell me your name and what you're cosplayed as.
Kim, it's just a Jedi. Any Jedi.
I'm Dan and I'm Qui-Gon Jinn.
I'm Caroline and I'm my own Jedi.
Nice. But yes, you are your own Jedi. I could feel that power of the Force coming out of you.
Yes.
Okay, so just off the top of your head right now, what's the first pop culture that comes into your mind?
Doctor Who?
Star Wars, I guess.
I'd have to say Star Wars, yeah. I'm not a real Jedi.
That's right. Well, I'm sure there's a crossover universe with Doctor Who and the Jedi.
Absolutely. And Star Trek. I'll throw that in there too.
Wasn't there a comic with a Star Trek Doctor Who comic?
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was.
Are you guys doing anything for the festival? I know there was a lightsaber thing going on.
There'll be a lightsaber demonstration at 2:30 out the front.
So you guys are like lightsaber guys?
Yeah, full combat, yeah.
So what's the kind of kit that you need to set up to do full combat lightsaber work?
Well, these are polycarbonate. It's made out of the same stuff as police batons. They hurt a lot. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I paid a few coins.
Yeah, and it just has an LED in the handle that shoots the light up into the clear tube, so they light up. And some of the real fancy ones have sound and stuff too. Yeah.
And have you been hit by a lightsaber?
By these ones, yes, not a real one.
Yeah, because you seem pretty intact.
Sorry, what was that?
You seem pretty intact so far.
Well, a couple of cybernetic limbs, it's all right.
So to use lightsabers, I imagine like gaining a skill in any swordcraft, you'd need to practice.
Oh yeah. We the Tasmanian Lightsaber Academy has been going for about 11 years, and we meet up every second weekend up north and every once a month down south, and belt the living daylights out of each other.
So if people want to find out more about the Tasmanian lightsaber group, where would they go to?
Jump on Facebook. We've got a couple of different pages and groups on there. If you look up Launceston Lightsaber Academy or Hobart Lightsaber Academy, you'll find it. Yeah.
All right, so what's been the biggest surprise you've had so far at the Pop Culture Festival?
The drums outside. It's amazing. You got to go and hear them. Like big war drum things. Amazing.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to check that out. I love drums. Yeah, right.
I'd say for me, it's seen all the amazing costumes that are coming out, and there's characters I don't recognise, but the amount of effort that's gone into these costumes has been fantastic.
One last question then. It's a tricky one, and not many people have been able to answer it. Is there any unique Tassie pop culture that you've experienced? Anything that's kind of like a Tassie pop culture?
I don't know.
Because I guess there's like AFL sports.
Tassie Devil from the Looney Tunes. That's the first thing I think of. That's as good as I got, sorry.
Honestly, the only thing I've got is that everyone here is really proud to come out and wear what they're wearing, and I think that speaks enough for itself.
That is a beautiful sentiment. I agree. I think sometimes Tassie is full of modest, polite people that are proud in what they do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a really nice Jedi moment to leave it on. So thanks very much for being part of this, and have a great afternoon.
No worries. May the force be with you.
Hey, so this is Media Mothership with Dr. Craig Norris, joined by Masters Johnson.
Yep.
Put a T in there. Master Marcus, maybe. And B.A. Zeke. So Dr. Craig, Master Marcus, and B.A. Zeke.
That's me.
Action figures sold separately. And the piece of news I want to go over now. Oh, any thoughts about Jedi now that we played the Vox Pop?
In the movies or in real life?
Ooh, real life.
Real life, it's good. It's basically like a very modern form of fencing.
Yeah, and it's a good cosplaying choice, would you say?
Absolutely, yeah. Very comfortable. Lots of robes.
That's right, yeah. In terms of cosplaying clothing choice, it's a comfortable clothing choice. You've got robes. It's not too expensive, I'd imagine, to get the kit.
Depends.
Except for the lightsaber.
Yeah, it depends like the how much time and effort you want to put into sewing your robes. If you don't know any sewers, you may need to commission them.
Weirdest thing about the, because the Jedi look has become so distinctive. The brown robe, the white kind of, almost a samurai or yukata underneath it. But that, I never kind of got why when we meet Obi-Wan Kenobi in New Hope, he's wearing that, but that just seems to be the standard clothing for farmers or for kind of just background characters in that area. And then suddenly it becomes Jedi robes.
Yeah, because I always thought the implication was that what Luke wears in Return of the Jedi was actual Jedi robes.
You're right, the kind of black, or even Empire, where he's in that kind of brown.
No, that's his rebel fatigues in Empire.
Right. So when he's wearing the black, that makes sense narratively. That he's found fashion instructions for Jedis.
Obviously, well, I mean, he's figured out how to make his own lightsaber at that point. So he's.
Yeah. There's an interesting fan theory about that I read that Qui-Gon Jinn, the idea being that Luke has to make his lightsaber and that it's green, which is the same color as Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber, and the idea being that Luke went back after Empire Strikes Back, where he loses Anakin's lightsaber, and goes back to Tatooine to make his new lightsaber, and it's within the realm of possibility that Obi-Wan Kenobi had secured Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber after being killed by Darth Maul, and had that in his stash in Tatooine, and maybe Luke found that when he went back to make his lightsaber. So the theory is that Luke's new lightsaber, the green one, uses the crystal from Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber, because they're both green, right?
Yeah, that's a nifty theory.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense as well.
Talking of making sense, the last story I want to go over is the Duffer Brothers just shut down this viral Stranger Things fan theory on Twitter. So, Zeke, what was this fan theory?
So somebody on TikTok somebody on TikTok and then a bunch of other people as TikTok works have then taken that and as a trend went viral on TikTok and it's spread a lot. that there's a scene in season 1 of Stranger Things where the character Jonathan is perving on, I think it's Nancy, is
Nancy, yep.
And with a camera, and she's at a house party, and then eventually he also captures her best friend, who later on gets eaten by the Demogorgon and everything as it works into the season. Spoilers if you haven't seen season 1, but it came out a long time ago. But he is very explicitly perving on her in this scene. Looks very creepy.
Yeah, the original scene was creepy, and...
Yeah, and so the TikTok says that the Duffer Brothers or Netflix or whoever have went back, and because obviously they can access all the files that are on Netflix because it's streaming, and they've changed that scene to make it look less creepy, because that character is still alive in Stranger Things, and perhaps they want him to look a bit more sympathetic.
So this is like a conspiracy theory where fans have said that this original scene has been altered to be less creepy.
Yep.
Which is within the realm of possibility. We have George Lucas and other directors having gone back, and that character does change somewhat over the seasons, so it's possible that a director might think, wow, that character didn't have the arc I was expecting, didn't have the creepy arc, so now I want to go back to season 1 and dial down the creepiness and have him more as a kind of pining romantic figure. So this many people believed that, oh yeah, maybe season 1 had been revised, so there was this whole Twitter conspiracy theory that the Duffer Brothers had gone back to season 1, had altered those scenes so Jonathan's character doesn't look as creepy and lines up better with how his character, wraps up in season 4. That's been blown out of the water though, right?
Yeah, it's been blown out. So I think according to the article there, the Duffer Brothers themselves have denounced that has happened. I think they denounced that it happened, but they said that potentially other things could have been changed, but they haven't changed him to look less creepy. I also watched a video, I assume other people have done it as well, and probably TikToks and everything, but I was watching a YouTube of a film critic who went back, and he has the physical media, the DVD release of Stranger Things, so that he has a copy of it that couldn't have possibly been tampered with at all. He's looked at those physical medias next to the Netflix version, which would have been, if it's been tampered with, will be different, and he didn't find any difference whatsoever. So wow. It hasn't been, so a bit of forensic fandom, as I think you would say.
Yeah. So it was fake news, but it got a lot of traction. People believed it could entirely be true, but after fans did a bit of forensic fandom, lined both up, could disprove that theory, that no revisionism has occurred. Thank goodness. But on that point of revisionism, have we ever, do we have any thoughts about popular culture that's been revised? I mean, the classic one's always George Lucas going back to the original Star Wars trilogy.
There was, there's one example that I've learned about quite recently. So is everyone familiar with Loss from Control-Alt-Delete? So basically, Control-Delete was a joke a day webcomic. Well, it still is. It's been going for about probably close to 20 years now. And there was a very tastelessly done story arc in 2008 where the main character and his wife have a miscarriage. And this is a joke a day strip about video gamers. And this strip called Lost, it's 4 panels, and it randomly became this massive meme around 2017 where people would take the layout of it and apply it to different things. So in the first panel, the main character Ethan is standing up. In the second one, he's standing up at a bench next to a hospital, and there's a receptionist sitting down. The third panel, he and a doctor are standing up and talking, and the final panel, he's there in the hospital room, and his wife is in bed crying after she's had a miscarriage. And people latched onto that. They thought because it's just such a grim thing to have in such a lighthearted strip. And so that template of those 4 panels became a massive thing, and it completely blew up. So this was in 2017. So in 2018. On the 10-year anniversary of the original Lost strip, Tim Buckley, the author, went into the archives and changed it so that the strip is now called Found, and he redrew Ethan's face so that in the final panel he's actually sort of giving this really knowing smirk and looking straight at the reader. So it was called Found. It was only there for one day, and the following day it was back to normal.
Right, Found. So What do you think he meant by giving the knowing smirk and having found there as the title?
I think the idea is that it was just his way of acknowledging the 10-year anniversary without making a big deal out of it. Because he based the strip on when he and one of his former partners had actually had a miscarriage themselves. It's the reason why that happened. Because the main character is very obviously based on himself. They have the same haircut and everything. But it was just a very odd way of acknowledging the meme.
It's a good... I mean, that's a really good example, I think, of an artist wanting to have a conversation with the fandom in a way where, you've gone back to an archive, you've revised it, but in a one-off that's time-limited and that acknowledges this conversation, as you were saying, that it's kind of a tap of a head to the fact that thing has become something more because of everyone else's involvement in turning it into a meme. As opposed to George Lucas's approach, which I guess in terms of a spectrum of them, that's how it can be done well, where it doesn't destroy the original. The original's still there, and people can cherish it and see it there. It offers a revision, but it's a kind of exclusive one that has a context linked to it. Whereas I guess for the George Lucas one, there's an idea of canon within those changes, that the hand-shot first drama, that Lucas went back and changed the timing of when Han Solo's gun fires, radically, for many fans, changed the canon meaning of Han Solo's character, that he no longer was a kind of rogue character that was, lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good. That's it. That he would kill someone. He would cross the line at certain points, right? Whereas Lucas's reinterpretation of that scene changed his character to already have made that character arc. I mean, that was a character arc that I guess he does develop. He goes from that arc to be a more morally centered character, I guess. But so at that point, that character arc gets diminished when it's self-defense.
And it's also such a minor thing. It's one shot in the film, pun unintended, that lasts for about a second. And it's the one thing that everyone...
But it keeps getting revised. I've heard that the latest revision for that scene is now Greedo says McClunky.
McClunky.
That's right? So, he keeps layering on top of it. It's so unusual. It's such an unusual piece. I mean, the other revision space that we see a lot of is video games being re-released, right? Updated to a new console generation and getting polished. And I mean, I think that's equally divisive. I mean, some people have a really nostalgic relationship with a more blocky version of a character rather than the kind of polished, now it looks like every AAA game in this generation revamp.
It's when you can't access the original that it becomes off-putting. So with the GTA trilogy remaster that came out recently, that was very controversial because one of the reasons was because they delisted all the previous versions from online storefronts, as in the ones that actually worked well and had mods for them. And the new ones, even taking out the numerous performance issues, just didn't look that great. It was just, the graphics were still extremely outdated. They just attempted to put some sheen on them. The other one for me is King of Fighters 14. When that came out, because that one had 48 characters or 50 characters right out of the box. And it was the first 3D King of Fighters game. But the graphics looked awful. They were like something out of a late PS2 game. And so they basically decided, the developers brought in a new texture pack that just completely reskinned everybody in an attempt to make them look more modern. But they actually got rid of a whole bunch of really nice color palettes that some of the characters had, and they added these really unnecessary flashy rainbows behind them when they were doing their ultra moves. It just didn't look as good in my opinion. It was just there was too much flash and not enough, I guess. I'm also just salty that Robert Garcia's really nice alternate costume got taken away.
Well, I'm going to revise this show. I'm going to go back to the early episodes. I'm going to hire one of your friend actors to do all my lines again, but, sultry. Barry White version.
I can rustle something up for you. I think I know somebody
You're really
who can do
good. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
To begin and end, yes, I've heard about Lost. I was in grade 12 when Lost first came out. That was Control-Delete was my life in college. So yes, I know about Lost.
So is that a reference
to the comic we were talking about before?
Right.
Yeah, because that comic strip is called Lost from Control-Delete.
I'm learning something in this show. It's wonderful. Even though I'm at the top of the hierarchy, I also don't know everything.
Exactly.
We're always learning. We are lifelong learners.
Well, that's been Media Mothership for another week. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've been Dr. Craig Norris. Over there's been Master Marcus.
Thanks for having me.
And B.A. Zeke.
Bottom of the hierarchy.
What button am I going to press?
That's Zeke's job because he's the peasant.
Yeah, exactly. The button pusher.
Okay. I'm getting the mouse cursor. And, yeah, keep listening. We have Adrian's show up next.